So really nice to meet you and to be here today. And big thanks to the organizers from Quantarau for pulling this off and organizing the biggest blockchain event in Bulgaria, maybe not only this year. So I'm Emiliyan Enev, and I have been developing with my company ReCheck practical blockchain solutions for the last maybe 6 or 7 years. So really, we're one of the pioneers, at least here in Bulgaria. And from the beginning, we were really focused on the real-world application of blockchain technology. So we started with ReCheck with the idea to create a digital twin or a digital representation of physical products on the blockchain, and to use this token of the product in order to verify the authenticity of physical products and to make sure that we are buying original and authentic stuff. So really physical world, real-world stuff. So let me see if this works. Okay, I have a question for you. How many people of the world own crypto? Can you shoot a number? Or what percentage of the world population own crypto? 5? Okay. 15? 5, 15, 3. Okay, so very close. And there was a research published recently by a company called AAA. They're based in Singapore. And they did a lot of investigation around this. And based on a number of sources, they estimated that approximately 4.2 people of the people in the world, they own some crypto, or a little bit more than 300 million people. And you can see some demographic facts behind this as well. And then the question is, are we already there? And you can see also here on this map, what is the distribution. There are many people in Africa, especially in Asia, using crypto, buying crypto, investing in crypto, and especially in the emerging markets in these countries, and India, Vietnam, and Nigeria, and so many countries, they have quite significant adoption among the population. But my question here is, are we already there? And did crypto conquer the world? And what is your opinion? Is blockchain already applied in the real world or not? What do you think? No, yeah? No. Okay, and this is very close to my understanding, actually, that we are living in a kind of a bubble. So we are in blockchain, we are developing blockchain solutions, we are buying and selling crypto. But what are the reasons for this? The reasons are that it is a kind of a casino game. We would like to get some high return and to make quick money. And for many people, blockchain is just this speculation and this desire to make some quick money. On the other hand, blockchain is a very good store of value. But I believe that we are quite far from the moment where blockchain is really applied in the real world and applied in a meaningful way. And there are only few projects with real impact, and we need to build more and to be much more efficient and to prove that the philosophical aspects of blockchain can really interact with the real world and to bridge decentralized technologies and the real world. So I would like to give you a few examples and to explain what are the catalysts and the actual game changers that can accelerate this adoption and that can bridge the blockchain, the DOT, and the physical world. Not only physical, but real world, digital as well. So my bet and my expectation is that before Web 3, we need Web 2.0. And blockchain should be somehow integrated, embedded, interwoven into the existing systems, into the platforms, into the websites. And blockchain will be just one layer of trust, of security, of ownership, of digital identity that will be embedded as a layer on top of these systems. And we really need this because without this step, we cannot make the transition. We cannot really make this adoption of blockchain in a practical way. And these are the next steps, in my opinion. So the real game changer and something very practical, something very concrete, is that in the next 5, 10 years, we will see this Connect Wallet button in so many websites. This is already happening, but mostly in the blockchain projects. But in a few years, we will see this connect wallet button. And this is the small thing that will enable users to authenticate with their digital wallets, with their crypto wallets. And this is something that will trigger the adoption of blockchain in a very simple way. Here, the user experience is really important. You just go to a website, click connect to a wallet, maybe you scan a QR, or maybe you use some plugin extension in the browser with MetaMask, whatever, and then you're logged in. And then, of course, you can access something that is exclusive, something special for you as a content, as an experience. Also, you'll be able to take advantage of some individual terms, prices, and something that is really specially for you. Okay, another thing that's happening in Europe, we were speaking about regulations, but there is this thing with the European Digital Identity Wallet, this idea of being in control of your personal data, your documents, your credentials, your certificates. So this is something that will be based on blockchain. Blockchain will be one of the technologies which will facilitate the digital identity wallets. But the general idea of interoperability and portability of personal data is something very specific that will be accelerated by new regulations. This is another very specific example of finding this common ground between blockchain and the real world. Especially I really like the idea of getting some return when you generate some content as a user and contributing to a platform or sharing some essential personal data. And here we are speaking about selective disclosure, really deciding what kind of information you can share about yourself. This is already happening, number of projects. My company is implementing digital identity wallet and self-sovereign, based on the self-sovereign identity principles for the European blockchain service infrastructure. And I can assure you that this is already happening, and in the next 2 years, citizens will be able to work with these technologies like that. Of course, the NFTs, and beyond all the hype, beyond all the scam, beyond all these schemes, NFTs, I believe, will become just a standard for digital ownership, but not digital ownership of images, digital ownership of physical and digital assets. Okay, this one is quite obvious with the tokenization principle, but something that is really interesting for me is how NFTs can be applied for the business assets, for documents, for invoices, for contracts, for essential sensitive business information. I believe that this is something that we'll see as a trend, as an opportunity in the coming 2-3 years. And instead of using NFTs just to claim that you're the owner of a video file or image, they will be used for more practical and meaningful business assets. And we will see very interesting monetization scenarios around this. We are collaborating with a Dutch bank that is already using NFTs for invoices, for example. Again, in the field of the NFTs, something very specific as a use case, digital rights management. There are a number of lawyers today here in the event, maybe in this room, but I believe NFTs will be this bridge or this tool for official management of digital rights, commercial rights, IP rights, and one of the biggest platforms in the world for brand management is already exploring and testing NFTs as a technology, as a tool to manage the ownership of the brand and the associated rights with the brand. This is a project that is being implemented right now, and we are speaking about one of the biggest players, like the platform that is managing quite significant share of the brands. This one here is quite obvious, I assume. Crypto becoming standard for crowdfunding, crowd investing. And there are a number of projects, number of initiatives. You can say that ICO is such an example, maybe not a really positive example, but maybe the combination between DAOs and and blockchain as a layer of transparency, security, traceability will trigger a faster adoption of this model of crowd investing. And here, things are really simple and really easy to understand. It's about the efficiency, it's about the security, the full accountability of this approach. And comparing this to the other existing models of crowd investing, and there are quite big platforms in Europe and global platforms as well, there are so many advantages and so many opportunities to make sure that you have your voting power, you have your interests protected, you have a way to really get return and track what's happening with the project and the progress, and really participate in the way value is being distributed. So these advantages are so many and so obvious that hopefully this will be a very specific use case that is already happening, but I hope will become a standard. We're speaking now about the digital creator economy, and it is exploding in the recent years. And these creators, they're writers, they're journalists, they're video content creators, designers, influencers. So they're generating huge amount of content. And usually they're uploading this content on the big platforms. And of course, it is an issue because they get a very small return for the quality content they provide. And you can see the numbers. It's quite a big industry, actually. So speaking about blockchain and the real world, the digital creators, maybe our children, they'll be able really to monetize their creativity. So this is the thing that inspires me a lot. You'll be no longer forced to work a job that you don't like, or to stay in the office. You have more opportunity to sell your personality, to sell your talent and the content and the art that you create. And for me, this is something that inspired me to launch a new product called Nifty Folder, but I won't have time today. Sorry? Okay. Another specific example and use case is about passports of physical objects. And here I'm speaking about passport of your car, passport of the building, of the house, passport of machines, equipment, etc. This is a use case that is becoming popular in some European countries. I have some observations about what's happening in the Netherlands in this domain. And here we are speaking about trusted history on the blockchain. So you have your car, and you can record facts about your car, and information about maintenance, information about some improvements in the vehicle, etc. The same can apply for your house. You did some repair, you invested, and you can record this information. You can secure it. You can make sure that it is very trustworthy and immutable. So this is something that can really affect the market price of the assets. And if you can prove this performance, if you can prove that you have this and this condition of the asset, and you really invested and maintained the asset, then you can get a market premium. So without this trusted history on the blockchain, you'll get maybe 80 euro or 800 euro. But with all the evidence on the blockchain, you get 200 euro more. And again, here, the question is how to bootstrap the whole process, and how to solve this chicken and egg problem, and to incentivize users to contribute with data. In the domain of marketing, there is a new trend. It's called token gating. Have you heard about this, token gating? Someone? Okay, it's very simple, and will be the next era of loyalty. So you have this group of fans, you have some really loyal users, consumers, and you would like to reward them. You would like to offer them something exclusive, something special. And you can do this with NFTs and token gating. So you distribute NFTs to them, and they claim the NFTs in their wallets. Again, they go to the website, do the authentication, and proving that they are the holders of this NFT, they can unlock something really exclusive for them. It could be a ticket, it could be some special experience, it could be some digital merchandise, it could be anything that brings value and shows some appreciation. So this is a market that is at its infancy. It's starting right now. But since it is very practical, it's quite simple and efficient, I hope that, and actually I'm quite convinced that this will become one of the very popular use cases of applying blockchain for the real world use cases. Another thing, and I could not skip the Metaverse, although there is no very precise definition about Metaverse, and it could be a topic for a whole conference. But with the Metaverse, I have something that is really appealing, at least for me, and something very specific, and I believe it's also meaningful, but you may have a different opinion about this. So we have some physical objects, and especially we're speaking about objects with high aesthetic value, and it could be art, it could be furniture, it could be architecture, and then you can do a 3D scan of this physical object. You can create a 3D model as a digital representation of the physical object, and if you are the owner of the physical product, you also own the digital representation, the 3D model. And then you can license this, you can sell it as an object that lives in the metaverse, in the virtual world, in the VR. So you have the digital representation, you have the 3D model, and this is a way to get some more return and to unlock some new monetization potential for your physical properties and for your belongings. I believe this is something that we'll see happening in the next years as well. Composability, these interconnections between objects on the blockchain, between smart contracts on the blockchain. This will be the biggest game changer, in my opinion. Imagine this, doing something, executing a transaction, and then this transaction triggers another transaction in another smart contract or in another environment. And this possibility to find synergy and network effects among all the objects, among all these smart contracts on the blockchain will be the real, the real game changer, actually. And at this moment, it's mostly happening in the DeFi space, perhaps lending platforms, perhaps things related also to the speculative aspects of blockchain. But in the future, there will be more and more products, more and more dApps, more and more smart contracts deployed. And the potential for finding these synergies, new business models, new way to monetize content, new way to interact with others, new way to create value together with the other projects and the other users, this will unlock really incredible scenarios that we cannot even imagine right now. So pay attention. This is one of the most interesting aspects that I have in mind and will be enablers for a lot of innovation. So again, I have a question for you. What is your prediction about the development of the blockchain and finding this bridge, this relation between blockchain and the real world? Do you believe that we'll have a more utopian future where blockchain is an enabler, is an instrument, is a way to be sovereign, to be free in the digital world, and will unlock more opportunities? or do you believe that there are risks, there are threats, there are these negative scenarios where blockchain can be used, for example, for massive surveillance, for massive control, for some kind of centralization disguised with the name blockchain? So who thinks that we have utopian future? Okay. We're speaking about the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. Dystopian, more negative? Okay, interesting. A bit more dystopian, I believe. And this could be an interesting topic for a discussion panel, actually. I'm not sure, me personally. And I believe that this potential is here. And I believe that the future of work will be you with your identity, with your wallet, joining different platforms, different networks, doing something meaningful, something useful for these platforms, creating some value, and tracking what is the result of this value, and then getting a return based on your contributions. And usually this is a tokenized return. So I hope that we'll be in position to influence this movement in the right direction and to have more utopian opportunities. Thanks a lot for your time and for being such a great audience. And I'm available to answer your questions.
Hi, I have a question. Who do you think will be the key stakeholders in this transition between Web 2 and Web 3? Will it be enterprises, governments, or citizens, or somebody else? And what needs to happen for the projects or the enablers that you pointed out to pass an MVP stage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good question.
Sorry, a massive question.
Yeah, very good question, and very important question as well. And I'm asking myself the same questions, to be honest. So first, who are the stakeholders? On one hand, we have the Web3 people, the builders and the startups and the investors and the crypto holders, investors, etc. So for me, the problem is that they're kind of disconnected and they're living in their bubble, and they're mostly interested in their profits and in the price of the tokens, which is not really good. So they're in this casino play. But I believe that with the advancement of regulations, and I know regulation is a kind of a negative word, maybe, especially in such blockchain events, but with advancement of regulations that provide some clear definitions, with the adoption of tools that are really user-friendly, with the growth of the projects that are not that provide this very easy onboarding, we'll see more ordinary people. So I believe that this should start from bottom up, from the people from below. And if we allow governments and bigger institutions to lead and to steer the direction of Web3 adoption and blockchain, generally speaking, I don't believe that it's a positive scenario for us because we'll see the same games and the same models and the same principles applied perhaps in blockchain. And what was the second question? Yeah. Great user experience. They should allow users also to pay with fiat money and stable coins, and they should be really open for people that are not crypto native. Also, they should be based on protocols that are really scalable and decentralized and provide a solid foundation for development of the projects. They should not look for a short-term profit. So they should have this strategy and vision about developing their products for the next 5, 10, 15 years. So not looking for quick return. And for me, perhaps the most essential part, they should give ownership over this project, this network, to their early adopters, to their users. And the users will be also kind of shareholders. They should be able to own some stakes, some shares in these projects and participate with different perspective. Thank you. Okay. You can cut me if there is no time, please. Please go ahead.
Is there time still?
I believe so. I believe.
So my question is related to the previous one. Have you heard of the phrase stakeholder capitalism? And if you have, what do you think about the Great Reset plan of, if you can share some thoughts about this Great Reset plan of the World Economic Forum idea? Thank you.
Yeah, I heard about the term, but there are different interpretations, and I'm not sure if we're on the same page about this. And to be honest, I'm not really informed about this point, so I'm not in a position to comment it. So if you give us a little bit of context and explain a bit more your question, perhaps I can comment on it. But otherwise, we can also speak after this session, but I'm really not aware about this initiative, and I cannot comment it.
Okay, basically the idea of, as I understood it, is for the stakeholders to be only the people and the big companies, corporations, and governments, these to be the stakeholders of this new world, and everything else, so they to own everything, and we to borrow everything from them in the future. That's the kind of the idea.
Sounds quite opposite to the general principles and nature of blockchain and decentralized technologies, actually. It's not really a blockchain mentality. It's not really a decentralized way to develop it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Their idea is to use the blockchain.
Yeah, I understand.
To that goal.
Yes, Chinese people are also using blockchain and having currency on blockchain, but they're using blockchain in quite a centralized way. That's why I mentioned that blockchain will be interwoven, embedded into existing system and platforms, and it will be quite a negative scenario if blockchain is used just as a disguise, just as a way to demonstrate that you're doing something in a decentralized way. But based on what you're saying, it's a long discussion, but really we need at the beginning some kind of efficiency. We need some kind of way to bootstrap the whole process. And at the beginning, some small centralization might be okay, but only if there is a plan for progressive decentralization, speaking about startup products. So for me, it doesn't sound quite positive as a scenario.
Also, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I also have a question which kind of relates to the previous one. I believe what the person was referring to was some ideas from the World Economic Forum that went around the internet. You will own nothing and you will be happy. But my question is kind of related to that, and it's related to central bank digital currencies, and what role do you see of central bank digital currencies in this new world of blockchains? And just have in mind that CBDCs and this dystopia that was mentioned doesn't require blockchain. It could be implemented without any blockchain in it. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we already have digital money all around us, and CBDCs is just like a next part of the evolution of the money. And with CBDCs, we have these central authorities that are the issuers and control and oversee everything. So this is powered by blockchain, and blockchain can be quite useful in this regard. So I believe that they're part of the overall ecosystem, and they have certain role to play. And I hope that the CBDCs will be just one of the way to not to create money, but to implement the idea of money and creating value, and they will live together also with cryptocurrencies, with tokens. So there will be some kind of interconnections, relations, and they have certain role to play.
Okay.
but quite centralized, of course.
My question is, I don't want to sound like a big bear or anything, but what's the biggest incentive that companies have to make crypto payments a thing? Because obviously, if, in my opinion, if currently it was, a viable thing to do, it would have already been done. So, what is like the biggest incentive that companies have to do it? Is it just like out of trying to make the world a better place, or is it some other like incentive?
Businesses, they're very practical, and they'll be interested in integrating these payment options with crypto, only if they can not incentivize, but facilitate more payments and make it easier for the consumers to pay with crypto, which will unlock a higher potential for revenue. So if we have a critical mass of users and consumers that would like to pay with crypto, then of course it means that more businesses will be interested in accepting crypto payments. And for me, it's a matter of efficiency. It is a matter of lower transaction costs, lower costs for processing payments and reporting and all the administrative burden. And we will see this growth in know your transaction principles and just proving on the blockchain that you receive these payments from this and this wallets and identities, and yeah, it's efficiency and opportunity to have more revenue because more people are willing to pay with crypto, I believe.